Hello, this is Tim Law with Planet Forward Coaching and Self-Reliance You. Always remember your life, your dreams, your goals, and career are all essential. Whatever your mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. A big thank you for over 350 people that have subscribed to this YouTube channel, Planet Forward Coaching. If you haven't already, please do so. It'd be very much appreciated. I am very, very happy to have a wonderful young lady who I met several years ago playing for the new Oxford tennis team with my very good friend, Coach Travis Martin. And anyway, I want to introduce her. Her name is Casey Conjack, and I've gotten to know her better the last couple of years or so, and she's just incredible. And they're going to let her tell her story. So, Casey, welcome, and let's hear from you.
Yeah, thank you, Coach Law, for having me, first of all. Yep, as you said, I'm Casey Conjack. I am a high school graduate of the class of 2020. I did cyber school most of my life, actually my entire life, but I did play sports for New Oxford High School. I swam for about 12 years competitively, and then I've been playing tennis for about 5 or 6. I played both of those at New Oxford, as well as doing some club sports over the summer and winter on my off seasons. Currently, I am a student at Messiah University. I'm studying psychology with a concentration in occupational therapy, and I'm also on the women's tennis team there. So I just finished my first year, and it went well. So yeah.
Yeah. And where were you on their tennis ladder, Casey? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so this year, I wasn't really sure where I was going to end up, but I ended up playing #1 singles and doubles this year for the team. So that was exciting.
Yeah. Well, certainly with any schedule, if you're playing, #1 singles doubles, you're gonna see some very good people, from the other teams. And what were some of your main takeaways, being that high on the ladder? And you were very, in fairness, you were very high on the ladder at New Oxford as well. You were there at #1 your senior year. Junior, I think #2 behind Camden Belko, who we've also interviewed. She did a great job. But you've always been, pretty much right in the middle of that top part of the ladder. What was the difference that you saw as far as the collegiate tennis was concerned?
Yeah, so there definitely was a big difference jumping from high school to college. So yeah, my freshman year of high school, I played #6, and then I was #2 my junior or sophomore and junior years, and then #1 my senior year of high school.
Uh,
And then just jumping up to that level of being #1 in college. First of all, I probably wasn't expecting to be that high in the ranking. I was really hoping to be in the starting lineup, but I had no idea what to expect going in. So it definitely was a challenge. And I think one of my main takeaways from that was just how you really have to have a strong mental mindset
mhm.
going into college tennis. They expect a lot out of you academically and athletically. So just being strong and having a lot of perseverance. I definitely didn't win all of my singles matches by far, but I really was able to develop as a player because I was playing with, the best people from every school, which, was a good lesson for me. And I think it's a good way to develop in the next 3 years of my college career. So yeah, there's definitely the mental game of any sport really, I think is something that has to be focused on. It's sometimes overlooked. You think it's mainly about, developing your skills and
Mhm.
getting certain things down pat, which it definitely is. But if you have a weak mental state, you're really not going to be able to show those skills very well. So yeah.
Yeah, I certainly agree with you, Casey. And one of the things that we've tried to do as far as our teams are concerned is encourage that mental toughness, that grit. We have an acronym for it, meaning greater results with intense training. The idea that you're going to have to put your foot on that emotional and mental accelerator because it's really what it is. It's a battle of wills between you and that opponent. And obviously you're out there, doing your best to play your best, to win if you can or whatever. And it does take a lot of mental toughness for sure. You had some great rivalries with a wonderful young lady on our team, a lady named Jillian Laughman, who I know you two have become good friends. And that's the very cool thing about the sport is that you go back and forth, you trade wins, losses, or whatever, but then you're friends afterwards. So any words you have regarding our girl Jillian?
Oh yeah, Jillian's a great player. I think she definitely has the really good mental game for sure. I mean, she played some really tough people. I know she played Megan Salaga her
Mhm.
senior year, I believe, in the county finals, and that was definitely a tough match. I wasn't able to see it, but I saw the score, and I know that's a tough person to play. So just I think she really has figured out that mental game and has really maintained her calmness during tennis. I think that's something I've struggled with, is getting frustrated too much with, looking at the score and seeing that you're down. But I think she's someone who's really good at playing one point at a time. That's something that a lot of my coaches have told me, is just, focus on the next point. It doesn't matter how far you're up or how far you're down. Just, it's one point at a time, and that's all you need to focus on. And I think she does a great job at that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and truth be told, you two did exchange wins and losses with each other. So you certainly, helped her with pushing her, and I think she helped pushing you and everything. And at the end of the day, you're both incredible young ladies, that's for sure. How about the your swimming background, Casey? Tell us a little bit about that, because I think you said you do the distance swims and everything, and you talk about some mental toughness, especially you mentioned that you did the butterfly stroke, which is obviously very challenging.
Yeah, so I've had a long history of swimming. I actually swam probably competitively since I was around 5 years old until
Mhm.
my junior year of high school, until I decided to transition more into focusing on tennis. But yeah, swimming, I think, definitely prepared me for having mental toughness at a collegiate level. It's an insane amount of practice and work. You do it year round typically. For those people who go into college, you're swimming day and night over the summer and the winter. You really don't have too much rest time, maybe a couple weeks off during the year.
Mhm.
So it's definitely physically and mentally demanding when you're, constantly going all the time, having no break. But yeah, that definitely helped with my mental game for sure. So just learning, patience. And with that sport, it's kind of unique because, tennis, there's a lot more, I think, variability in your wins and your losses, because you're constantly, playing different people at different levels. But
Mhm.
with swimming and, things like track, maybe even, you're just racing against the clock. So, you're putting in tons of work to try and shave like milliseconds off your
Mhm.
times to try and make certain cuts for, if it's nationals or states or whatever it would be. So yeah, it definitely is a mentally challenging and wearing sport.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and you certainly brought those skills with you, to the tennis court. Your mental toughness, because anytime I saw anybody having to play Casey Conjack, you had to beat Casey Conjack. Casey Conjack wasn't going to give it away, that's for sure. So that's a salute to you. I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about my wonderful friend, your coach there, Coach Travis Martin. He was one of those guys that the first time I met him, we bonded right away. And I think a lot of it had to do with our mutual wrestling backgrounds and everything. What can you say about Coach Martin, Casey?
Yeah, I played for Coach Martin for all 4 years of high school, and then I also did camps with him when I was younger, so I knew him pretty well going into high school. And he definitely does a great job over there at New Oxford. I know they had a great season the last year, and we always played really well during our seasons when I was there. I think he did a really great job handling our sport. Sometimes it's difficult. With girls, it can sometimes be, emotional or very stressful just with high school and, everything's going on, but he really handled us very well. He did a great job. I think he also kind of helped with that mental state a little bit. I know specifically with me, I had a lot of issues with kind of being too nervous or anxious going into my matches. So, he just told me, he's like, relax, what happens will happen. You just have to play your best. And that's, another thing, getting over that kind of mental hump. Just, you go out there to win, you don't play to not lose, if
Mhm.
that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah, oh,
So yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I like the idea of, if you prepare to do your best and you do the best you can and just stay relaxed and don't give it away, let's say in a match or a tournament or whatever, that's basically about the best you can do. So I certainly agree with you there. It is so different because I coach the guys and the girls, and I coached a girls team when I was up in New York State. And coaching girls is different than coaching guys for sure. And
Definitely.
well, one of the things that I've done as far as my ladies are concerned, we'll kind of joke or tease a little bit back and forth a little bit. Whereas with the guys, it's kind of like full on smackdown, in a good way. Guys are it's just a different group to try to coach. You got to meet some of our guys at the USTA, whether it's Trenton Clauser and um, Carter Krebs or Joe, and some of those guys were they're very dedicated. Daniel Money was another one.
Mhm.
And anyway, it's just a different way that you handle guys like that, or Lance Freese, Josh Sanderson, et cetera. So I absolutely agree with you there. What would you say, Casey, were some of the life lessons that you learned and you can apply them as far as giving some younger student athletes some advice there?
Yeah, so beyond just like the mental aspect, I think that's a large chunk of what I learned throughout high school and then this first year of college. I also learned a lot about discipline and perseverance just throughout your academics or your athletics. For people who are looking to go into college and possibly play, whether it be, even club sports or, if you want to play at the NCAA level, you really have to learn how to be disciplined. I think this year it was definitely hard with COVID to kind of transition into, a college aspect of even academics and athletics. So just learning to, stay on top of your schoolwork and,
Mhm.
kind of planning out your week, your month, just staying very organized and disciplined will really help you. Because I think more so in college, even than high school, they really look to make sure that your academics are also very high.
Mhm.
So because you are a student athlete, so it's not just that athlete part that's important.
Sure. Well, it's interesting, Casey, because talking to did an interview with our girl Bryn McDonald, who played for us, class of 2019. Aubrey Schaefer, same thing, 2019. And it's interesting. And Giselle Gastano, who also was 2021 this year. But some of the same things come up as far as the discipline, the time management. I'm hearing a lot of the same things from you young people that are involved as far as college is concerned. And Giselle Gastano, ironically, she's going to go to play softball at some place called West Point. So she's a very disciplined, incredible young lady, and just tremendous. But it's very interesting that you mentioned some of the same things. And what other advice is there? Any other advice you give to up and comers, Casey? Regarding thoughts and ideas as far as college is concerned, or the world of work, or doing your best, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think just trying a lot of different things when you're in high school is really important, to figure out your major, things like that. There's a lot of shadowing opportunities that a lot of students maybe aren't aware of right now that they can get into. And you obviously don't have to know what exactly you're going to do when you're in college. A lot of people change their minds on that kind of stuff, but just
Mhm.
kind of getting out there with, sports or internships or, things like that, that kind of get you a wider idea of what that you might be interested in is a really great thing because I was someone who had a lot of interests in high school and I wasn't really sure where I wanted to go with it. I enjoyed like history and the medical field and very large range of different topics and stuff. So just kind of getting an idea of how to narrow that down, talking to counselors and talking to your parents, just a lot of prep before you go into college, I think can be very helpful.
Sure, sure. And one of the things I brought up with Bryn McDonald yesterday, and she mentioned as far as trying a lot of things as well, is the idea there's a saying that capacity, is a state of mind. In other words, a lot of times we may come up to a certain task or challenge. Oh, I can't do that. Like Bryn was saying, you'll never know unless you try. And then you try, and after a week or two or something like that, you become more effective, more efficient, and all of a sudden, you're doing it. And so again, you're reflecting what I'm hearing from some of the other college student athletes or students, that's for sure. So Casey, any last thoughts before we kind of wrap things up? And please stick around afterwards. I'll talk to you for a second or two once we're done. But any last second thoughts here on people you'd like to thank, or that have been very helpful for you as far as your life and career coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I think my coaches have been a large aspect of my success as well as my parents. I mean, they've always kind of been there, taking me to practices and matches and just that family and friends support that I've had, I think is great. So just finding, that kind of source of support for yourself, I think is very important
Mhm.
as a college student athlete. So yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, well, and especially when you're really really young, and obviously you're in college now, but when you're young, having those adults believe in you is huge. I can go back to my early years as far as my high school wrestling and collegiate wrestling or whatever. Having people that believed in me made such a difference. It's like fuel to your tank because let's face it, as young people, that we have a lot of doubts and that type of thing. And then if you can get somebody that believes in you, it is a big advantage, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah. Well, Casey, this has been wonderful. I do appreciate it. Please hang on for a second, and we'll chat with you right after we're done recording here.
All right, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.